Hello, and welcome back to Apex Con here at sunny Caldwell, Ohio. It is the finals of today's $5,000 standard Apex Invitational Qualifier. I am Ross Merriam, and joining me is Corey Baumeister. Corey, started with 45 players today. We've gone through 6 rounds of Swiss, a quarterfinals, a semifinals. There's only 2 players and 1 match that remains before we crown a champion and give out this gorgeous Bright Glass Gear Hulk Apex Invitational Qualifier.
I love it.
Playmat.
I love it. The Gear Hulk playmat looks good. Some extra cash for the finalist, and of course, you can take second in one of these. I've done it, and it feels not great. You leave a tournament, you want to win it. You get this close, sure, you get the invitation to the final end of the year tournament. You get an RC invite, but it feels so much sweeter when you walk away with a trophy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also going to be walking away with $1,500 in cash. Second place, $700. Still a good day at the office.
That's a big match, though. That's a big match. That's a big price difference here. A solid $800 match of magic between these two gamers. So I like it.
A ton on the line here. As you mentioned, both of our players have locked up a qualification for November's Apex Invitational. They've also locked up a qualification for an upcoming regional championship. So congrats to both of them on that. But they have one more match ahead of them. We have Franklin Folks. He's playing Izzet Prowess.
Yep.
We have Alan Miller. He's playing Mono Red Aggro. These are the 2 matchups you just casted with Todd in the semifinals.
Yep.
One went to Mono Red, one went to Izzet. Who takes the rubber here in the finals?
That's the fun thing, is both of these players have experience beating this exact matchup. They just did it, and I think I will give a slight advantage here to Franklin as he's on the play. And, made some good work against the other Mono Red player here. Normally, I'd be all Mage Bane Lizard, but Alan was on the play for this last one. Had Lizard on 2. It looked incredible. I think it's about as close as it gets. I'm going to call Franklin for this one, though.
I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
It pains me to do so.
Yeah, is that the first time you've ever done that in our commentating or playing career?
I'm taking a risk here.
Wow.
I'm going out on a limb and agreeing with you. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But
let's just give Alan the trophy then now. I mean, that's just a given that he's going to take it down.
Just can't bet against the man on the play. Play draw is so important in these matchups. We've
really
seen
is.
it in the mirrors between Mono Red and Izzet Prowess in the matchup between them.
Yeah.
Being on the play, incredibly important. Folks, like you said, has experience beating this matchup, just like Miller does the same.
Yeah.
The play is the difference here.
And it does look like the exact same list that Alan just beat. It does
75.
look same 75. Yep, looks to be the exact same. But, if you can get a Drake Hatcher on the play and your opponent goes Lizard, you can still do some work here. One Monstrous Rage and an Opt or whatever and put 2 flyers into play. Sometimes that's too much pressure for Mono Red to deal with anyways.
And being on the play makes Into the Flood Maw a much more attractive option for stopping Lizard.
Yeah.
If you can get far enough out ahead of it, then it won't stop you from closing out the game. Whereas if you're on the draw, much harder to do that.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Totally agree.
Okay, looks like our players are ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down there and start this final match of today's $5,000 standard Apex Invitational Qualifier.
All right. Looks like the dice indicating 6, guessing both players have taken a mulligan.
Looks like it. I'm counting 6 cards there, face down on the table for Franklin Folks.
And I would say especially with the mulligan when Franklin's on the play with the stock up deck, big advantage to Franklin if both players mulligan down to 6 or 5.
Okay, no 1-drop for Folks, but does have the end of turn Burst Lightning to handle Alan Miller's Hired Claw. Now has River Pyre Verge into Monastery Swift Spear. That'll come across for 1 point. Alan Miller down to 19.
Here's the big turn. Is it the Lizard? Because I think Franklin has land 3 and double stock up.
It's Mono Red that plays the Lizard, not Izzet.
Yes, okay. But there's the Lizard. I think that's a line. Yep, okay. So now Franklin, has a great turn, and I love this. Here is the bluff attack. Alan blocked last time in the top 4, blocked the Drake Hatcher, and it ended up being really brutal for him. I love the attack first. That is just, it's something where, in my opinion, Alan cannot block there, and Franklin just got an extra point of damage because of it.
Certainly not against a Swift Spear. Against a Drake Catcher, you're a little more apt to block because the punish by not blocking is them making some Drakes. The Swift Spear is just a little bit of extra damage.
Yeah. I would think you can't block either. Like, blocking is not allowed in these, I wouldn't say mirror matches, but these aggressive red mirror style matchups.
Monstrous Rage is not a card for blockers.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I do like, the one good thing I will say about Monstrous Rage is I think figuring out late game combat math is pretty fun. That is a cool thing, but in these early turns, it's less fun when you just blocking is wrong most of the time.
So Folks stocks up in his post-combat main phase, falls to 19, and now the Magebane Lizard comes across for Miller, dropping Folks to 18. And I'm not sure, was that a Tursa? Is that a Screaming Nemesis? Okay.
Screaming Nemesis, yep. And I do see Into the Floodmaw from Franklin, so there is the ability to push that out of the way. And with all that blue, it looks like double stock up, double Storm Chaser's Talon, and Into the Floodmaw. So, I mean, ideally, right, you just want to Into the Floodmaw, the Lizard, and then play both Storm Chaser's Talon, but that doesn't even work out that well, as this Screaming Nemesis can at least trade for the Swift Spear.
Well, trading 1-for-1 with the Nemesis is not bad for a red deck. You'll take that most days.
Yeah, you'd probably just take 4 here.
Yeah, Miller could certainly take 4, but then he feels bad for not attacking with the Screaming Nemesis last turn.
Yeah, that is very true.
Well, does just take the 4, so Miller down to 15. And now he will untap for his turn 4. Looks like another Nemesis in hand. But I imagine the Lizard will be coming back down.
Yeah, Challenger, Lizard, and Just Say Go feels pretty strong. Put your defenses up, hope for the best, and hope your opponent is out of gas and not, let's say 2 stock-ups or anything.
Just Say Go, famous 1980s Nancy Reagan slogan.
What? Is it Just Say No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second stock up coming for Folks. He'll take a point from the Magebane Lizard.
It was like Nancy Reagan, a big Magic the Gathering player, huh?
She
Okay.
was.
Good to know.
Loved playing Drago control decks. Just Say Go.
Okay. You're full of useless facts, which I already knew, but full of fake facts. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the cards off the stock up was an island for Folks. And now he comes in. Wow. So with just island available, sort of suggests Into the Floodmaw, but...
Yeah, Monstrous Rage isn't there.
Okay, just an opt.
But yeah, this is Screaming Nemesis trading. Franklin takes 3 damage. Screaming Nemesis can deal with both otters now if you want. And the Lizard lives.
Folks takes 2 from casting this opt.
Yep.
That puts him to 13. And now Miller going to take 3 from the unblocked otter, go to 12. And then the Nemesis will take down the other otter with its trigger.
Yeah. Overall, this seemed like a great exchange from Alan.
Yeah, Alan gets to untap only facing down the Swift Spear and has a really good board himself with the Magebane Lizard and the Emberheart Challenger.
And Franklin has all blue cards, so maybe one of them's an Into the Floodmaw, but it looks like opt, stock up, and another one of those 2 cards.
Yeah. Another Emberheart Challenger for Miller. Comes across with the 2 mice for 4. Now Monstrous Rage is one of them, so that's going to turn this into 9 damage. He also gets to exile the top card of his library from the Challenger trigger. I'll find a Screaming Nemesis, so can't ask that one.
Didn't love that from Alan. If Alan starts with Monstrous Rage on the Swift Spear already in play, you see Nemesis and you just play that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, playing the Challenger, you get 1 extra Prowess triggers, I guess, but I don't think that's worth it in this scenario.
Yeah, the higher chance of drawing a card worth more than the Prowess trigger.
Exactly.
Okay, so Folks down to 5 and still facing down this Magebane Lizard. Has a Drake Catcher. That's a pretty good start. And now Sleight of Hand.
Franklin's been playing for a while with those opts and those sleight of hands. I'm a fan.
He's either been playing for a while or he shelled out a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what foil 7th Sleight of Hands cost, but I'm pretty sure it's not cheap.
Yeah. They do look, they look gorgeous. I'd pay a high penny for them. All this being said, couple cantrips here going to such a low life total it is hard to imagine a way out from Franklin, as I feel like you have to win right now, and Alan Miller has that one Screaming Nemesis in hand as another follow-up, so you got to think huge advantage to Alan.
Absolutely. Turn back to Alan Miller.
Okay, that looks like a Witchstalker's Frenzy and a Manifold Mouse in hand.
Manifold Mouse would be a great card.
Yeah, I mean, that was the top deck. Looks phenomenal. You can give Double Strike to the one that already has the roll.
Yeah, 3/3 Double Strike Trample will end this game very quickly, and there's just not much folks can do about it when he's also staring down the Magebane Lizard.
Yeah. And you get to attack with 3 creatures, cast the Witchstalker Frenzy on something either proactively or reactive, and then you get a little consolation prize. You get to play the Hired Claw post-combat as well, if there is a post-combat.
So if it is Frenzy, the last card, this should be lethal.
Yeah, but it would be lethal no matter the blocks. You know, I like waiting and seeing what Franklin's going to do. Op's probably not going to help you out.
Yeah, take 1, you're 3.
And now, literally any spell does not do it. If you Witchstalker's Frenzy on the Swift Spear, you know, you have to interact with that. Then you go to 1, then the Lizard finishes you off.
And the Emberheart Challenger is still
lethal just by saying, all right, pass priority to you.
I guess you can chump that with the Hatcher, chump the other Challenger with the Swift Spear.
Oh, yeah, I thought blocks have already been declared. It seemed like that.
The Optus pre-blocks. Yeah. Kill your blocker on my Trampler.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Alan really popped off there. Had that Lizard pretty aggressively, turn 3 or so, and just had a nice curve out. Stopped drawing lands after 4. And that's one way that you break serve on the draw.
And we've seen a lot of hate cards for this Izzet Prowess deck, but it certainly seems like Magebane Lizard has been the most effective one.
I mean, as far as results goes, for sure. I mean, you look at the RC, Percy took it down there and, you know, beat, I think it was something crazy like 8 Izzet Prowess decks. I think went 8-1 and, you know, took down the tournament there. It had won a bunch of challenges right before that, and it just seems like the deck to play if you're entering one of these tournaments, because here's the thing with the mono red deck. Even if your Magebane Lizards are bad, well, that means you're not playing against Izzet Prowess, and your deck still has game. Sure, you might have 3 2-mana 1/4s that are going to be pretty weak in a lot of other matchups, but you just side them out. That's 1 game out of 3 where they're not excellent, and then if you ever get paired against Izzet, you just have a 2-mana I win button. So, I mean, I would have played mono red at this tournament for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly the best performing deck, I would say. It was the second most played after Izzet, but still 3 copies in the top 8, 4 of Izzet, and pretty clear that those are the 2 decks to play.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great, and you can play the anti-Izzet Prowess deck. You can play the Black-White Pixie, the Jeskai controls, maybe a Zorius control, but, you know, those decks are really tough to play, too.
So as our players continue shuffling up for Game 2, I'll take a moment to shout out our sponsors for the weekend. Ultimate Guard, the industry leader in TCG supplies, from the Archive deck box to the Katana sleeves. Check out your local game store for our Ultimate Guard products today. We're also sponsored by Moxfield.com, hosting all of our deck lists. A great place to host your deck list, share with players, build the decks. Really excellent tool, and we love using it here for our tournaments. We also love using SpiceRack.gg, our tournament software provider. Great place to find deck lists, find tournaments, and if you're a tournament organizer, a great place to host your tournaments and keep them running smoothly as they do for us. And then last but not least, Once Upon a Galaxy, new auto battler brought from the minds of Matt Nass and Luis Scott Vargas, among others. Assemble a crew as you sail across a diverse and spectacular galaxy of your favorite storybook characters, legends of myth, and other cosmic entities. Okay. Back to the match here. Game 2, folks will lead off with a Verge and a Monastery Swift Spear. Miller down to 19. No 1-drop from the mono red player. And back to folks for turn 2.
Getting busy. The start that you want here.
Yeah. Island, sleight of hand. So no 2-drop.
And no 1-mana removal spell, it looks like, from Alan to just clean up this Swift Spear.
And that has to mean only one thing, Corey, right?
That you got some lizards. Absolutely.
No 1-drop on the draw. We're still kept 7. I wonder why that is.
Because you're flooded with 1/4s.
Yeah. The good news for Folks is he gets a couple of these cantrips out of the way.
Yeah.
So he's set up, hopefully, his hand to either answer Lizard directly or at least be able to play through it effectively.
Yeah, and I mean, something that would be excellent, even if Alan does have turn 2 Lizard, if Franklin's able to go Corey Steelcutter into the Floodmaw, take 3, attack for 5, that still feels totally fine. You've tempoed out the red deck, and I feel like that's what you have to do. So we'll see what Franklin has for a way to deal with it. Or, of course, just the Rebel Salvo, the one way to truly deal with it.
And there it is.
Oh, baby.
Lizard for Alan Miller, land 3, and Rebel Salvo for Folks. So he'll take another point down to 17, but then the Swift Spear will come across for 2. That drops Alan Miller to 14 life, and the Magebane Lizard is gone.
The only way to destroy a Magebane Lizard in the entire format, as it seemed. Okay. A good play. And that's the nice thing about Alan's deck, though. Like, sure, Lizard, the greatest card you can have against Izzet, it's gone. But, oh, yeah, I'm still a very good beatdown deck that can still go over the top of this, pretty quickly.
Yeah, Emberheart Challenger plus Burst Lightning for the Swift Spear means the Challenger attacks for 3, so Folk's down to 14. He replies by replacing that Swift Spear, now casts an Opt, sends the card to the bottom, see if he can have a removal spell for this Challenger, and then a good crack back, and that way he stays ahead on board and on life.
I think we need it, too. I think Alan has double Manifold Mouse, and I want to say a Rage. Yeah, double Manifold Mouse, Rage, and land 4.
Just an attack for 2 from Folks with 2 mana still up, and then a pass of the turn. That is a huge sign of weakness.
Yeah. I also would have really liked to see that Manifold Mouse before you play another land. You just play 2 mana, you look at your opponent and be like, go to combat. Is it time to target this? If they say no, then you play Heartfire Hero and the land, and you can do some work here.
Okay, so Floodmaw going to bounce Manifold Mouse, but that has to be first main if Folks wants
has to be. And I mean, that does prevent the card draw from this, so that is reasonable, but I still would have just replayed it and said, hey, take 4. Yeah. Right?
Instead, just comes across for 2.
Yeah, that definitely looked like a post-combat play, so if you're going to replay that, get your value. Sure, you exile a card that you're not going to play, but...
And so life total's level at 12. Folks starts the turn with another sleight of hand. Needs to find some removal for these mice.
I want to say that's a lot of land. That's at least 1 more island, so... Yikes. I mean, if Franklin just literally has 2 lands, this game is over next turn, and that's at least 1 island. And if you're ever thinking about leaving a Swift Spear back, times are tough.
And Folks likely just going to pass the turn with 3 mana up and hope Miller gets scared.
It might have been an Into the Floodmaw, but I don't even know how great that is.
Yeah. And a very strong first 3 turns did Folks in this game, but it looks like he petered out from there.
Yep. I mean, just having the one of answer to the Lizard was excellent, but now what do you do?
Here's land 5 and the second Manifold Mouse for Miller, so now he can make a couple double strikers.
Yep. And yeah, it is 1 Into the Floodmaw, and wow, does that feel bad.
Finds a Witchstalker Frenzy off the Emberheart Challenger trigger.
Yeah, and what do you do here? Ishay's, sure, I'll take it, because this Frenzy is pretty much forced, and then you can bounce something. So you bounce the Challenger that does prevent a good chunk of damage.
This is now 8 damage. Still not lethal, but yeah, not an amount of damage Folks wants to take.
So now with the Monstrous Rage, it's still 8 damage if we want, but I wouldn't even do it there. Like, especially with 1 card still left in hand, you have the Heartfire Hero.
Yeah, I could have just played that post-combat. Instead, goes for the Rage, pushes damage. So Folks down to 4 and lost his Swift Spear. Hard to imagine what he can draw facing down 2 Manifold Mice, and he knows the Emperor Challenger is still in hand.
I mean, best possible.
Okay. Yep.
Best possible for sure.
Here's a stock up. There's a Torch the Tower, Corey Steel Cutter, a Verge.
And it looks like it was 3 lands. So you have the ability to play those 2 things, deal with the 1 Manifold Mouse right now proactively, but the crackback is going to be too much. This is Alan Miller winning this tournament.
Yeah, handily here in the final match. The Torch the Tower can't even kill the 2/3 Manifold Mouse that has a roll on it, and that's lethal by itself.
Yeah. Yeah, with the land. That is... Yeah, you don't even need the land. Yeah, Alan made this look easy, and of course, you went with me, and I was wrong immediately, as I called in the intro there.
Oh, yeah,
All the
Sparkfire
things.
Hero. Yeah, Torch the Tower not even close to good enough there. Folks extends the hand, and Alan Miller is your champion of the $5,000 standard Apex Invitational Qualifier here on day 1 of Apex Con. That's going to be the last match of this tournament, but remember, everybody watching, Corey, myself, and Todd will be back tomorrow for day 2. That's going to be another $5,000 Apex Invitational Qualifier, but it will feature the modern format. So we're going to be switching over from standard to modern, and we're going to do this all over again. Count another champion and give out another $5,000, another playmat, and a bunch of Ultimate Guard swag.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Impressive stuff.
We are going to take a quick break here. We're going to get Alan into the booth. We're going to do an interview, and then we're going to wrap up this show. So very, very quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Ross Merriam, and I have your champion of today's standard AIQ, Alan Miller. Alan, congratulations.
Thank you.
First things first, I've got some awesome swag for you. Courtesy of our sponsor, Ultimate Guard, you have this Super Hive with Xenoskin and this Squaros deck box, a little Wonder Woman action.
There we go.
And then from us here at Apex, this is your AIQ Champion playmat for this season featuring Bright Glass Gear Hulk.
That's awesome.
That one is yours. Okay, so let's talk about your deck. For the last couple months in this standard format, all the talk has been about Izzet Prowess. Izzet Prowess is Corey Steel Cutter that. It was the most played deck in today's tournament. It was the most played deck in the top 8. And yet here you are standing on the top of the heap at the end of the day playing mono red aggro. And your one loss, as you were telling me during the break, was to the mirror. Yeah. So how many Izzet Prowess decks did you beat today?
4 total.
4-0 in the Izzet Prowess matchup. And I have to assume that's a matchup you're very comfortable in.
Yeah, I've practiced it quite a bit.
Yeah. And just tell me a little bit about just how good Magebane Lizard is at stopping these Izzet decks.
It's insanely good on turn 2. I mean, it just puts a lot of work in. It's, continues to roll and stack as they cast spells, so it does a ton of extra damage.
All right. And as far as, this mono red deck, which has emerged in recent weeks as the challenger to Izzet Prowess, what are the decks that you're really scared of to play against? Decks that players might turn to now that mono red has become such a big force in the metagame?
Black-white's pretty solid against it with the Pixie, and the other Pixie variants are pretty good against mono red.
Yeah, all the Pixie decks. Okay. Well, I'm not going to keep you here too long. Congratulations on the finish. Looking forward to seeing you at the Apex Invitational come November. And let's get Todd back in here, and we can wrap up this day.
Cool.
All right, congrats once again to Alan Miller, Mono Red, taking down today's Standard Open. Ross, it was a great day. We got to see some awesome Magic being played. Standard, pretty fun. Maybe once Corey Steel Cutter gets the axe, we can open up the format a little bit.
It seems pretty clear that if you want to beat Corey Steel Cutter, you could do it. You just got to play Magebane Lizard.
Got a main deck.
Then we got to figure out what beats Magebane Lizard, and things can keep growing. But we've at least found a natural predator to Corey Steel Cutter, and it's very, very clear. So, it's not Izzet Prowess against the world. It's Izzet Prowess against Mono Red, and now we just got to find the next thing.
Yeah. All right. that's the end of today's festivities. But tomorrow we're going to have a modern open, probably going to be double attendance of what today is. This is a modern area, and I'm honestly really excited to see what not only Final Fantasy has done, but we haven't had an event since Core Steel Cutter got printed here at the Apex store. So I'm curious if that is at Prowess Deck in modern is everything is cracked up to be as well.
There is a ton of variety in modern right now. Izzet Prowess has been a recently emerging deck. You know, you got different energy variants and a bunch of other decks in that metagame. So that's going to be a super cool tournament. You're not going to want to miss that. And we'll be back at our same time, 11 a.m. Eastern. You, Corey, and I will bring all of the action for that one, just like we did today.
All right, well, let's roll it out here because it's time for dinner. That's Ross Merriam. I'm Tandy. Thanks for watching the Apex series. We'll be back tomorrow. Wait, what do I usually say?
Say bye, Ross.
Bye, Ross.